Our next speaker is Elio Choshi with a topic about community design in Mozilla.
Works, great. I'm not the best with microphones, sorry about that. It's an honor to be here. Actually, I'm not a developer, so it feels really great to be in front of so many technical people. I'm Elio from Mozilla. I'm actually not an employee, but I'm a volunteer contributor, just like you probably in many other open source projects. And I also don't contribute any code to any Mozilla products. So you might ask, what am I doing at Mozilla? I mostly do community stuff, and recently I've also started doing design, which means like visual design, no code involved. I'm a Mozilla rep from Albania, which is that you represent Mozilla and act as an ambassador for every Mozilla activity in your country. And as far as I know, there are also some in Croatia. So if you're interested to get involved, ping me afterwards and we can talk about that. I've recently started also doing community design, which is a decentralized process, like with doing open source programs, but on the design side, on GitHub, where we talk about what needs to be done, any logos, any websites, UI, user experience, and we get together and work on that together, just like programmers would do. Further, I'm also a board member of Open Labs Hackerspace, which is a hackerspace in Tirana, Albania, where we are active since 4 years and promote all this kind of activities, just like you do here. So we are really similar on that level, let's say. I'm also a community manager at SitePoint, where we talk and write about technical and web stuff. So if you are interested to get new knowledge and new skills in any technical topics and also design, go over there, you'll find some really useful topics. Oh, and I'm also a student, but that's something very small, yeah, I'm not really proud of that. Okay, you are probably some students, so no, don't listen to that. Seriously, you must study. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So yeah, open source, it's not only code. This is a notion which has been established in the last years. Hey, you are involved in open source, so you must be a programmer, you must do some technical stuff, you must work on that scary terminal on black or white on black and stuff like that. So I'm really happy this is not the case anymore. And open source is a much bigger definition nowadays. So you work also with many other projects which are definitely not always technical. Sometimes it can be open data, open knowledge, like Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not at all technical on that side, but it still includes the values of open source. So something which we have seen nowadays is that we need to offer non-technical people a way to contribute to open source. So this is also something I've included in this talk. There is a difference between designers and developers. Is there any designer here among you? Anyone who worked with design? But I guess developers, right? Developers? Yeah, much more, right? So there's a thing that designers and developers fight quite a lot, because designers want to make things look pretty and stuff, and while developers just want to make it work well and deliver the product to the user. So there are quite two different species, let's say. We work in two very different ways. While designers didn't have the privilege to work in the open, because back then, like 30 years ago, when the open source or free software movement started, its design or user experience wasn't really the priority. It just needed to work, and when the Free Software Foundation started their initiatives, it was all about the value. So design was, of course, not the priority at that moment. So developers had really a big head start at that point, because they knew the values, and like 30 years later, designers are intrigued or are starting to get intrigued by that value, because nowadays in a world of hacker spaces and co-working spaces, everyone works together, and now we realize how much more better we can work if we become a team or work closer together. So there's this problem with us designers. We think that the world revolves around us. It's a problem because a lot of software is done by many developers, so you like engineers, you work together, you work on different methods like Scrum nowadays. But when it comes to design, it's usually just one designer who does the branding and stuff like that. And he has total control over everything of that. And because of this privilege he has, that he has control over doing that, he lacks quite some empathy. And it's really important in an open source project to have quite a lot of empathy, because we do it for each other, and when there is no empathy, we cannot work closer together. So this is one of the problems we need to solve before working in the open, even as designers or developers with designers together. So a lot of developers have recognized the value of sharing. A lot of software is licensed under open source software licenses like GPL, Apache, or MIT. This has started also in design or creative fields, but it's still getting there. We have a lot to catch up on. So one of the things is that if you want to contribute to design, it's that you should be open about it. And one way to be open about this is exactly Creative Commons licenses. They offer a way to make your work accessible to other people without putting your ego in front of it. It's a very nice way to share your work without losing too much control of it, because designers hate losing control and they want to keep everything controlled in their own little space. But that's one thing we need to overcome. If you have an open source project which needs help for design, or want to know more about design in an open source field, I really suggest you to check out Open Source Design. There are a bunch of developers and designers who work on visual design in the open. So even if you have an open source project which needs design and you have no clue about design, you can just go there and ask, and people will do it for free for you when they have time. It's a really great initiative. So yeah, let's get over to Mozilla. So this is not a collection of logos done by Mozilla in the last year. This is a collection of logos done by me for Mozilla. So, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Oh, he's a volunteer. How can he do some stuff like that? So, when you really want to get involved in a community, a lot of possibilities open up for you. In my case, it was that I had the unique chance to work on so many logos for so many projects at Mozilla, and even the localization logo is there. So we just use them all among Mozilla. And which is pretty crazy because you are just one designer and you get involved in such a great community. And this is also possible for everyone else. So if you want to get involved, just open up, and you need to take the initiative to ask questions. Asking questions is a very important thing here. So the thing is that, I did so many design stuff for Mozilla, but everyone was talking to me, hey, Elio, can you do me this logo? Can you do me that and this? So, which was fun, because I would get this, my CV would be huge like that. But it wasn't the idea in open source, right? You shouldn't, ask a specific guy to do all the things. So I had an idea to, put a decentralized platform where people can ask design help, or just offer their help for helping other people. So this was my pathway, how we created community design at Mozilla. Because of this, there are two different paths here. In open source, everyone gets together and they decide on something, how they want to do it, and they decide something together. While in design, it's mostly, like I said, only one guy deciding how it goes and similar. So under the new initiative, Mozilla Participation, we wanted to involve much more contributors in Mozilla. And one of these initiatives was also community design, which launched January this year. The goal was to make designing at Mozilla much more very easier to do. Same as programmers could just contribute to the Firefox code, designers could contribute to new Mozilla designs and similar. So this was a quite big goal for us, but it went pretty well, I must say. It would be a central place in a decentralized way where community and staff can make design. So even employees would ask design help from the community, which is really great because the community is sometimes shy, you know, employees can do it on their own and stuff like that. But even the employees were so busy that so many design requests were not fulfilled out at time. So we needed something to happen also from the community side. It was also a great experience because employees and community volunteers would create relationships where before it would be very separate, community would talk here and employees would talk there. We would have a much more closer relationship right now, which was also established right here and then, and more people would talk even outside the community design afterwards. It was also very helpful because we could track all the requests in a very transparent manner. So nothing would happen in an opaque manner in emails or stuff like that. It would be all on GitHub, very easy to see. So how we structured that, it was like a classic open source project. The code and all the design would be on a GitHub repo. Everyone could participate there. Everyone could file requests as long as it was related to Mozilla. And more discussion would happen there. We also had a Discourse Forum, which is an open source forum mailing list hybrid thing, where everyone could talk about community design. It was very helpful for the community also. And the very fun thing is that we had monthly calls, like Skype calls, where everyone would hang out together, talk about design, and we would get to know each other much, much better. Because it's very nice when you see each other face to face and not like talking all the time on IRC or similar. That's what made us really bond closer together, and we had a much better relationship afterwards. And this is from Etherpad. Some of you might know Etherpad. It is a collection of all the names which participated in that meeting. Like you can see creative directors, UI designers, employees, community. It was so big and I really felt proud of that because it like bonded all the community together and employees, and we like started to work like one. It would not be anymore Mozilla Corporation and the community. We would like work as one, which was really a great feeling. And as you can see, if you go to GitHub /community design, you can check out the requests. And as you can see, there are various requests where graphic design is needed, where logo is needed, or where even developing things are needed. So if you are a developer and want to get involved here, you can like create a business card generator, because there are many designs which are finished, but we didn't have time to yet implement it. So there's even some things for developers who have no clue about design. A lot of the requests are also done by employees, which is really nice as your work gets seen in Mozilla general, not only a community project, but in the big Mozilla sites, which is getting seen by like thousands of people. So if you want to get involved, just check out github.com, Mozilla Community Design. And we are replying pretty fast. It's not only me, of course, who is involved there. There are dozens of other employees and volunteers who talk about it. And yeah, for any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll stay around here also at the booth. And yeah, thank you very much.
one observation and one question. You mentioned open licenses like equivalents of GPL for design, and you mentioned Creative Commons. But Creative Commons has actually more non-free licenses than free. Of course, there is Creative Commons attribution or attribution share alike, which are open licenses, and there is non-commercial, non-derivative works allowed, etc. So perhaps it would be good to mention that specifically in talks. And for the question, one of the big problems, I think, which you said that the designers, as opposed to developers, usually work alone. Because I don't know, is it really possible for several designers to work on the same piece at the same time? For example, if there are several coders working on some code, they can each work in different style, and the code would still work. Everybody would work on one piece, and those pieces would just connect together and work. But if you design, I don't know, one icon, and another designer makes completely different another icon, so do, I don't know, some light or transparent here, and he does dark black here, and the third designer does green with red, it wouldn't fit together at all. So what's your opinion of, is it possible for the several designers to work on the same code, and what are the challenges here?
Yeah, I understand. To get, in your first comment, to get to it, at community design, on default, we put share-alike attribution license. So it's one of the more permissive licenses. But in generally speaking, like all designers like to tend to claim all copyright on their designs. So even if they use a more restrictive Creative Commons license, it's a little victory already. And I'm one of the believers that we should take small steps until everyone feels comfortable using this kind of process, rather than, okay, let's do it in the public domain. So that wouldn't work out, like for most of the designers. To the second question, I believe that it's also more a philosophical question of how you think. When you work with developers, there's one problem that designers have a problem with developers working together, which is one thing, and there is also one thing like more designers working together on a software where they can design stuff. To overcome that second problem are specifically style guides which show you how you should design something. I guess also in the world of developers, like they tend to comment on the style of coding of each other, right? So it's kind of the same also for designers. So once there's a certain set of rules and guidelines established, I think they can overcome this kind of problems. But it's true that there is no really good alternative to GitHub for designers, let's say. There are some mock-up tools where people can work together, but I don't think it's the technical problem, the biggest problem here. Once the mindset is ready, okay, I'm going to work together, we are going to overcome the technical aspects, I think that's the least of our problems. Like, what software are we going to use? I mean, it's something we can talk about later on once we agree that we should work together. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
More question? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.